An infinite savanna stretches across East Africa, where dust rises with every step, and the horizon never seems to end. Relentless heat, endless distance, and the quiet pull of survival dominate this land. It's balanced on the knife's edge of the modern world, yet untouched by it. Quietly in the grass, a flick of movement, eyes locked, bodies low. The hunt begins before it's seen and ends before it's even understood. The raw, primal intensity of Kenya is beyond comprehension. Forged by the Great Rift, this land has shaped life for millions of years, not only for the wild, but for humanity itself. It sustains entire ecosystems with ruthless precision. Yet just as easily it reclaims life through drought, fire, and unrelenting pressure. But still, it endures, unchanged, unbroken, alive. This place is wild. And quite frankly, unstoppable. Across East Africa, the ground opens into a vast scar stretching across the continent. Steep escarpments incline above enormous valleys, while ancient volcanic plains unfold between chains of lakes. In Kenya, the land feels sort of unfinished, as if the earth itself is still being shaped here. This immense geological fracture, known as the Great Rift Valley, runs directly through the country, creating one of the most dramatic landscapes on the planet. Formed by tectonic forces slowly pulling the continent apart, the Great Rift Valley reveals a terrain of collapsing basins, volcanic ridges, and deep lakes scattered along the valley floor. These shifting landforms guide rivers, carve migration corridors, and concentrate life into narrow passages where animals must travel to survive. Across these plains, grasslands unfold between soaring escarpments that quietly dictate movement, creating a landscape where every species must navigate the same unforgiving geography. Over millions of years, those same forces transformed the environment itself. Dense forests gradually gave way to open savanna. Visibility across the plains increased, and survival began to depend on animals' patience, awareness, and cooperation. Predators evolved for speed and ambush in the open terrain. Prey adapted to move in vast herds, and the balance of life shifted toward mobility and intelligence. Within these changing landscapes, a new kind of primate began adapting to the same pressures. Across the Rift Basin, fossil discoveries have revealed that some of our earliest human ancestors lived and evolved in this region. The landscapes surrounding Lake Turkana have produced remains that trace the development of upright walking, endurance travel, and the gradual emergence of human anatomy. As forests retreated and grasslands expanded, early humans adapted to open terrain where long-distance movement and cooperation offered the greatest chance of survival. In these harsh environments, the foundations of human evolution began to take shape. Long before humans learned to hunt, the rivers of East Africa were already ruled by one of the oldest predators still alive today. Beneath muddy banks and slow-moving channels, the Nile crocodile waits, a reptile whose lineage stretches back tens of millions of years. Perfectly adapted for ambush, it remains motionless in the water until the moment prey approaches the edge to drink. With explosive force, jaws snap shut, and the river suddenly erupts into sheer violence. For countless animals crossing these waters, from antelope to migrating herds, this ancient hunter represents the final obstacle between survival and disappearance. Yet on land, another predator undeniably defines the balance of power across these plains. The lion stands as the top, undisputed apex of the Savannahs hierarchy, shaping the behavior of nearly every other animal that shares its territory. Unlike most big cats, lions live in highly organized social groups known as prides, where each member plays a distinct role. Females form the core of the pride and carry out most of the hunting, moving together through tall grass with patience and coordination. They launch powerful attacks as a coordinated team against prey that can weigh several times more than them. Their bodies are built for these confrontations, with massive forelimbs to grapple and jaws capable of delivering a suffocating bite. Males serve a different but equally vital purpose. Larger and more heavily built, they patrol and defend the pride's territory against rival males that constantly seek to take control. But their immense size and strength can also become decisive during hunts. When prey proves too powerful for the females to subdue alone, males occasionally charge in to deliver the crushing weight and force needed to bring the struggle to an end. In a landscape as unforgiving as here, where drought, heat and distance constantly push animals to their limits, securing a kill is not just a victory, it can mean the difference between survival and starvation for the entire pride. From the rivers to the open plains, survival across these harsh landscapes has always been defined by predators. Long before early humans appeared here, the rules of this ecosystem had already been established by hunters perfectly adapted to their environment. Every movement, every migration, and every moment of hesitation carries consequences. In the natural world that unfolds across Kenya, the struggle between hunter and hunted remains the force that shapes life itself. Across these plains, the balance between predator and prey plays out every day. But in one place, the scale of this struggle becomes almost unimaginable. Here, millions of animals move across open land, where visibility stretches to the horizon, and every step exposes them to danger. The sweeping grasslands of the Maasai Mara National Reserve stretch across southwestern Kenya in a vast expanse of open savanna. Acacia trees dot the horizon, while rolling plains extend for miles without obstruction, creating a landscape where animals can be seen from extraordinary distances. This openness forms the entire ecosystem, favoring predators built for pursuit and prey, adapted to constant vigilance. Herds gather here in immense numbers, drawn by seasonal rains and fresh grass that transform the plains into one of the most productive wildlife regions in Africa. Cutting through this savanna is the Mara River, a lifeline that supports life throughout the region. Its muddy banks provide water for countless animals, but they also conceal one of the most dangerous crossings on the plains. Each year, as massive herds approach the river, hesitation spreads through the animals gathered along its edge. The current is strong, the banks are steep, and beneath the surface, powerful predators lie in wait. When the crossing finally begins, chaos erupts as hundreds of animals surge forward at once. This crossing forms part of a far larger phenomenon known as the Great Migration, one of the largest wildlife movements on Earth, so massive that it's even visible from space. Every year, almost 2 million wildebeest, zebra and gazelle travel across the Serengeti and into the Mara in search of fresh grazing. Driven by seasonal rains and dwindling grasslands, the herds move in massive waves across the savanna. But this is a treacherous place. Movement here comes with a price. This journey spans hundreds of miles and exposes them to countless dangers along the way, from exhausted river crossings to predators waiting patiently along the migration route for this exact moment every year. The time is now, and speed often determines success or failure. The cheetah is the fastest land animal on Earth, capable of accelerating to incredible speeds above 60 miles per hour within mere seconds. Built with long legs, flexible spines, and enlarged nasal passages for oxygen intake, cheetahs are designed for explosive bursts of pursuit across open ground. Every part of them is a feat of nature, including their tail, which they use as a rudder to help turn during the sprint. Yet these hunts are far from guaranteed victories. Most chases fail, and every chase consumes precious energy that cannot easily be replaced. In this ecosystem, speed is a necessity, but it alone does not guarantee survival. While the cheetah relies on speed, another predator thrives through patience and concealment. The leopard is one of the most elusive hunters on the savannah, often remaining hidden in trees or dense vegetation until the perfect moment arrives. Powerful and adaptable, it hunts a wide range of animals and frequently drags its prey high into the branches of acacia trees to avoid scavengers. They're built for this, powerful and courageous, a quality that's imperative in Kenya's wild. In a landscape filled with so many larger predators, stealth becomes the leopard's greatest advantage. Not all predators rely on stealth or speed alone, however. The hyena survives through persistence, intelligence, and social cooperation. Living in large clans, they patrol enormous territories and possess some of the most powerful jaws in the entire animal kingdom. They're capable of crushing bone and extracting every possible nutrient from a carcass. Hyenas waste almost nothing, and they don't waste opportunities to steal from others either, even their arch enemy, the lion. Their eerie calls echo across the savannah at night, signaling the presence of one of the most persistent hunters in the ecosystem. Yet even among these powerful predators, the next generation faces enormous uncertainty. Within a pride, the early life of lion cubs is defined by vulnerability. Cubs spend their first months hidden in dense grass or secluded areas, while their mothers hunt nearby. They play constantly with one another, stalking, pouncing, and wrestling, developing the skills they will need to survive as adults. But survival is far from guaranteed. rival males may kill cubs when they take over a pride, and many young lions never reach adulthood. Those who do inherit the territories and hunting traditions that have ruled these plains for generations. By the way, friends, we're celebrating the launch of our official Travpedia gift shop with 25% off for the first 2 weeks after this documentary's release. Timeless, travel-inspired designs are now available, with many more to come. So don't wait a second longer and click the link in the description or visit travpediavip.com to explore exclusive travel deals and more. No sign-up required. This is our thanks to you for exploring this beautiful planet with us. Beyond the sweeping plains where predators hunt in open view, the landscape changes. The earth itself splits into deeper valleys, volcanic fields, and isolated basins where heat, geology, and time outline a different kind of wilderness. These regions feel older, harsher, and far less forgiving. Here, survival is not defined only by predators, but by the restless forces of the planet beneath the surface. Hidden deep within the northern rift lies the Suguda Valley, one of the most remote and isolated landscapes in Kenya. Surrounded by towering escarpments, this vast depression contains black lava fields, wind-carved sand dunes, and ancient lake beds that hint at dramatic environmental changes over thousands of years. Temperatures here can become extreme, and sudden flash floods occasionally tear through the valley after distant storms. In this bare environment, life survives in scattered pockets where water and shade offer rare refuge. Further south, the landscape becomes even more dramatic at Hell's Gate National Park, where looming cliffs slope above a narrow valley etched by volcanic forces. The Earth's energy is visible in steaming vents and geothermal activity here that still pulses beneath the ground. Massive rock formations stand like ancient walls along the valley floor, their surfaces revealing layers of volcanic history. The terrain feels raw and exposed, offering a glimpse into the geological processes that continue shaping the rift today. And in another corner of the rift, heat and mineral-rich water create a striking environment along the shores of Lake Bogoria. Along its shoreline, steaming hot springs and geysers release bursts of boiling water from deep underground, reminding visitors that the land remains geologically active. The lake itself is highly alkaline, with its chemistry modeled by volcanic minerals that accumulate over time. These conditions make the water inhospitable for many forms of life, yet they create the perfect feeding ground for one of the rift's most spectacular inhabitants. Gathering in vast numbers along these mineral-rich waters are thousands of flamingos. Their pale pink bodies form shimmering bands along the shoreline. These birds are drawn here by dense blooms of microscopic algae that thrive in the lake's alkaline environment. Using specialized beaks, flamingos filter enormous quantities of water to extract their food. When entire flocks take flight at once, the sky fills with color and movement, transforming this stark volcanic landscape into one of the most visually striking scenes in East Africa. Towering above many of these lakes and valleys are the Rift Valley escarpments, immense cliffs that mark the edges of the continent's great geological fracture. Rising sharply from the valley floor, these walls shape wind patterns, rainfall, and animal movement across the region. Herds traveling between grasslands and water sources must navigate these natural barriers, turning the escarpments into invisible guides that channel migration routes across the wider landscape. Farther south, the rift's fractured terrain slowly gives way to a harsher world where heat, distance, and dust dominate. Here, the earth turns a deep red, baked under relentless sun and wind. Water becomes scarce, vegetation thins, and survival depends on life's relentless stamina across enormous open spaces. In this furnace-like environment, another face of Kenya's wilderness is revealed. Across southeastern Kenya spreads the vast wilderness of Tsavo East National Park, one of the largest protected areas in the country. The landscape here is defined by open plains of red soil, scattered acacia trees, and the winding course of the Galana River cutting through the park. Dust rises easily from the ground, coating animals and vegetation alike in a reddish hue. This immense topography has long been associated with stories of danger, including the infamous man-eating lions of Tsavo that once terrorized railway workers in the late 19th century. But moving across these plains are some of Africa's most iconic animals. The African elephant thrives in this rugged environment, its massive body perfectly suited to traveling great distances in search of water and food. Herds often coat themselves in the park's red soil, using dust to protect their skin from insects and intense sunlight. These giants reshape the landscape as they move, knocking down trees, opening pathways, and digging for water during dry seasons. Their presence transforms the ecosystem, influencing vegetation and creating opportunities for countless smaller species. And just like an elephant herd sticks together, you might want to join ours. So flap your ears and hit that like button for us. Also, be sure to subscribe and tap the bell icon with your trunk so you don't miss our next expedition into the wild. Thank you kindly for your viewership and support, friends. But landscapes like this don't stay intact on their own. They're protected by a people working behind the scenes every single day. Big Life Foundation partners with local communities to protect iconic species and conserve habitats across the greater Amboseli ecosystem. By supporting community rangers, reducing human-wildlife conflict, and investing in local livelihoods, they help safeguard one of East Africa's most important landscapes for wildlife and for the people who call it home. Because conservation succeeds when communities lead. If you'd like to support their hard work, you can learn more at biglife.org and help make a difference. We'd be very thankful here at Travpedia if you did. Beyond the plains, the terrain becomes more rugged in Tsavo West National Park, where volcanic activity has created a dramatically different landscape. Jagged lava flows stretch across the ground, remnants of ancient eruptions that once reshaped the region. Rocky hills rise above bush-covered valleys, creating natural vantage points for wildlife moving through the area. This side of Tsavo reveals the deeper geological forces that helped form the rift system itself. Amid this dry volcanic terrain lies an unexpected oasis known as Maasai Springs. Crystal clear water rises from underground aquifers fed by distant volcanic mountains, forming pools that support hippos, crocodiles, fish, and birds. In a region where water is scarce, these springs act as a lifeline, drawing animals from across the surrounding wilderness. The clarity of the water offers a rare window into life beneath the surface, where entire ecosystems gather around this hidden source of survival. Beyond these red plains and volcanic springs, the horizon begins to change again. In the distance, a towering mountain stretches towards the stars, above the surrounding savanna, with its summit often capped with snow despite the heat below. This dramatic contrast between dry plains and icy heights reveals another remarkable landscape where wildlife moves beneath one of Africa's most iconic peaks. At the foot of this towering presence lies Amboseli National Park, a landscape famous for its sweeping views of Mount Kilimanjaro rising just beyond the Kenyan border. The open plains stretch toward marshlands, fed by underground water flowing from the mountain's melting snow here. Elephants roam across the savanna, with the massive peak looming behind them, creating one of the most recognizable scenes in African wildlife photography. It's nothing short of mesmerizing, I can say from experience. Sharing these plains with elephants are powerful herds of African buffalo, animals known for their strength and tightly coordinated defense strategies. By living in large groups, buffalo rely on collective awareness and protection against predators that constantly test the edges of their herds. Their heavy bodies and curved horns make them formidable opponents, capable of turning suddenly on attacking lions. Across the open grasslands, their presence adds another layer to the constant tension between predator and prey. Beyond the dry plains and volcanic valleys, the landscape begins to rise. Elevation transforms the environment once again, pulling the air cooler and drawing clouds into towering mountain slopes. Vegetation thickens, forests return, and rivers begin their journey toward the valleys below. In these higher elevations, Kenya reveals a very different world, one where ecosystems stack upon one another in vertical layers. Rising dramatically above the surrounding plains is Mount Kenya, the second highest peak in Africa and one of the most important ecological landmarks in the country. Its slopes create a remarkable environmental staircase where ecosystems shift with altitude. Dense rainforest blankets the lower elevations, giving way to bamboo forests, then heathlands and alpine vegetation higher up the mountain. Each band supports its own community of plants and animals, forming a layered system where life adapts to colder temperatures, thinner air, and changing terrain. Hidden within these forests lives one of the continent's most elusive antelope. The bongo antelope is rarely seen, moving quietly through dense vegetation where thick forest offers protection from predators. Its reddish-brown coat is marked with striking white stripes that break up its outline among shadows and foliage. Large spiral horns curve back from its head, giving it an unmistakable silhouette. Adapted for life in heavy cover, the bongo survives in environments where visibility is low and movement must remain cautious. Nearby, the highlands continue through the Aberdare Range, a rugged mountain chain covered in thick forest, deep valleys, and cascading waterfalls. Mist often clings to the slopes, feeding streams that eventually flow down into the Rift Valley below. The forests here support a rich diversity of wildlife, from elephants and leopards to countless bird species. The terrain feels ancient and secluded, with dense vegetation hiding much of the life that moves quietly through the shadows. Above these forests, another hunter rules the canopy. The crowned eagle is one of the most powerful birds of prey in Africa, dominating the treetops with extraordinary strength and precision. With broad wings and powerful talons, it is capable of hunting animals far larger than most birds would attempt. From hidden perches high in the forest canopy, the eagle watches silently for movement below before diving with sudden force. In these dense forests, where visibility is limited, aerial predators like this absolutely dominate the skies. And then, far to the west, lies the Kakamega rainforest, a rare fragment of ancient equatorial forest that once stretched across Central Africa. Unlike the savannas that dominate much of Kenya, this environment feels humid, shaded, and densely layered with life. Towering trees form a thick canopy overhead, while vines and ferns cover the forest floor. This small but important ecosystem represents the easternmost edge of the Congo rainforest system, preserving species and habitats found nowhere else in the country. Beyond these cooler forests and mountain ecosystems, the land begins to dry once again. Moving north, rainfall becomes scarce and vegetation thins into thorny scrubland and open plains. Survival in these territories demands new adaptations, longer legs, lighter bodies, and the ability to endure extreme heat and long distances without water. In this harsher environment lies Samburu National Reserve, a jagged landscape defined by dry riverbeds, rocky outcrops, and scattered acacia trees. Cutting through the reserve is the Ewaso Nyiro River, one of the few reliable water sources in the region. Along its banks, wildlife gathers to drink, creating moments of intense activity in an otherwise dry and demanding environment. Among the animals adapted to this climate is the Grevy's zebra, distinguished by its narrow stripes and larger body compared to other zebra species. Unlike their southern relatives, these zebras have evolved to survive in far drier conditions, traveling long distances between water sources. Their unique striping patterns also help regulate body temperature, allowing them to brave the intense heat of northern Kenya's landscapes. Towering above the scrublands is another striking resident of this region. The reticulated giraffe stands out immediately due to its geometric coat pattern, where large patches of orange-brown are outlined by bright white lines. This unique pattern not only provides camouflage among the shadows of thorn trees, but also reflects heat from the intense sun. With their long necks and specialized tongues, these giraffes feed on acacia leaves that most other animals cannot reach. But another unusual herbivore has taken adaptation even further. The gerenuk, sometimes called the giraffe gazelle, feeds in a way rarely seen among antelope. Standing upright on its hind legs, it stretches its long neck upward to reach leaves high within thorny branches. This vertical feeding strategy allows them to access food sources unavailable to other herbivores. A rather useful advantage in landscapes where vegetation is already quite sparse. But where there are herbivores, there are those who prey upon them as well. Among the predators that roam these northern plains, one species stands out for its remarkable teamwork. The African wild dog hunts in highly coordinated packs, communicating through subtle body language and vocal calls as they pursue prey across open terrain. Their hunts are fast, relentless, and often highly successful, making them among the most efficient predators in all of Africa. Yet, despite their skill, they remain endangered, with numbers reduced by habitat loss and conflict with humans. Such is the story of wildlife across the planet. In nearby conservation areas, such as Laikipia conservancies, efforts are underway to protect some of Africa's most threatened wildlife. These protected lands serve as critical refuges for animals that have disappeared from many other regions. Among them lives one of the rarest large mammals on Earth. Among the most moving and emotional stories in modern conservation is that of the northern white rhino. Once roaming widely across parts of Central and Eastern Africa, this massive animal has been pushed to the very edge of extinction by decades of poaching and habitat loss. Today, only a couple individuals remain, and that too under constant protection. They're guarded around the clock by conservation teams determined to prevent the species from disappearing forever, even though they're females. Their slow movements across protected land carry a quiet weight, a reminder of how quickly even the largest creatures can vanish. This is the human effect, everywhere on Earth. Yet the story does not end entirely in silence. Scientists and conservationists are now working with advanced reproductive technologies, hoping to use preserved genetic material to bring the northern white rhino back from the brink. While the future remains uncertain, these efforts represent a growing determination to repair what has been lost. In this fragile balance between loss and hope, the survival of the species may still find a path forward. Across Kenya's plains, forests, and deserts, life has adapted to extraordinary pressures: heat, predators, drought, and distance. Yet long before elephants crossed these savannas or lions ruled their territories, something else was evolving here. The landscapes shaped by the Rift Valley did more than support wildlife. They helped shape humanity itself, preserving clues that would eventually reveal where our own story began. Along the northern reaches of the rift lies Lake Turkana, a vast jade-colored lake surrounded by some of the most important fossil sites ever discovered. The dry, windswept terrain around its shores has preserved ancient bones and stone tools for millions of years. Layers of exposed sediment act like pages in a geological record, revealing the remains of early hominins that once lived in these harsh environments. In this remote corner of Kenya, the landscape itself holds the earliest chapters of human history. Just east of the lake, the fossil-rich region of Kubi Fora has yielded some of the most remarkable discoveries about human evolution. Here, ancient sediments have preserved skulls, bones, and artifacts that trace the gradual transformation of early human ancestors. The exposed terrain allows scientists to study millions of years of environmental change, revealing how shifting climates and landscapes influenced the development of new species within the human family tree. One of the most famous discoveries in this region came from the site of Nariokotome, where the nearly complete skeleton of a young Homo erectus, often called Turkana boy, was uncovered. This remarkable fossil revealed a body structure already adapted for long-distance walking and endurance across open terrain. With longer legs and a more upright posture than earlier ancestors, this early human was built for this place. Farther south, another remarkable window into the past lies within the Olorgesailie Basin, where thousands of ancient stone tools have been discovered. These hand axes and cutting implements reveal a growing level of intelligence and planning among early humans. Here, evidence suggests that humans were already learning to shape their environment, crafting tools, cooperating in groups, and adapting their behavior to survive alongside powerful predators. And then, north of these fossil-rich regions, stretches the stark landscape of the Chalbi Desert, one of Kenya's most extreme environments. Vast salt flats shimmer beneath the sun, while dry winds sweep across the barren ground. Life here survives only in scattered pockets where water briefly appears after rare rains. Though harsh, landscapes like this help explain the pressures early humans faced. Environments where resilience, mobility, and cooperation were essential for survival. Over time, those same survival instincts helped shape cultures that still live within these landscapes today. Across Kenya, communities have adapted their traditions and livelihoods to the rhythms of wildlife, drought, and migration. Their knowledge of the land reflects generations of experience living alongside the same forces that shaped the earliest human ancestors. Across the open savannas of southern Kenya live the Maasai, a pastoral people whose culture has long been intertwined with the wildlife of the region. Cattle remain central to their way of life, providing food, wealth, and social identity. Traditionally semi-nomadic, the Maasai have learned to navigate landscapes shared with predators such as lions, adapting their settlements and grazing routes to the rhythms of the ecosystem. Farther north, another community thrives in equally demanding terrain. The Samburu people inhabit the dry lands surrounding the Ewaso-Nero River, where survival depends on careful management of water and livestock. Like the Maasai, their culture is deeply connected to pastoral traditions, and their knowledge of seasonal movements across the land reflects centuries of adaptation to a challenging environment. Along Kenya's coastline, the atmosphere shifts dramatically within the narrow streets of Lamu Old Town, one of the oldest continuously inhabited settlements in East Africa. Built from coral stone and mangrove timber, the town reflects centuries of maritime trade connecting Africa with Arabia, India, and beyond. Donkeys still serve as the primary form of transport through the winding alleys, preserving a rhythm of life that has changed little over the centuries. Beyond the coastal towns, the Indian Ocean opens into a different world entirely. tides, coral reefs, and ocean currents shape ecosystems just as dramatically as the savannas and valleys inland. Beneath the surface, migrations unfold across vast distances, linking Kenya's shores to marine environments far beyond the horizon. Stretching along the southern coastline lies Diani Beach, a long ribbon of white sand bordered by warm turquoise waters. Offshore coral reefs protect the shoreline from strong waves, creating calm lagoons where marine life flourishes. Coconut palms line the coast while small fishing boats move quietly across the water. Farther north, the protected waters of Watamu Marine Park shelter one of the most vibrant coral ecosystems along the East African coast. Beneath the clear surface lies a complex underwater landscape of coral gardens, seagrass beds, and reef channels that support hundreds of species of fish and invertebrates. These protected habitats play a crucial role in maintaining marine biodiversity throughout the region. Returning each year to these beaches are the ancient travelers known as sea turtles. After spending most of their lives crossing vast ocean distances, female turtles return to the same sandy shores here where they were born. Under the cover of night, they dig nests above the tide line and lay dozens of eggs before disappearing back into the sea. Weeks later, tiny hatchlings emerge and scramble toward the water, beginning a journey that may span thousands of miles. But even further offshore, the open ocean becomes the stage for another extraordinary migration. During certain seasons, humpback whales travel along the East African coastline as they move between feeding grounds and breeding waters. These enormous mammals navigate thousands of miles across the ocean each year, with their lovely songs echoing beneath the waves as they pass through Kenyan waters on one of the longest migrations to bless the animal kingdom. Pardon the interruption, but we're giving away freebies to everyone watching. If you love exploring our beautiful planet, there's a revolutionary new AI-powered travel app you need to know about. And Travpedia viewers get a special, free bonus just for tuning in today. It's called Trav Genius, your personal travel companion that helps you plan trips and get recommendations personalized to you from scratch, even when you don't know where to start. Already done your planning? Trav Genius also keeps everything organized in one place and manages your journey while you're on the move. You can even collaborate with friends and get smart, real-time tailored recommendations anywhere in the world. It's an absolute game changer, and we think you'll love it. The app is completely free to download. For a limited time, Travpedia viewers will get early access and a full month of the app's premium version, including powerful AI features, absolutely free. Head to travgeniusinsider.com right now before the insider preview registration window closes. It's completely free and you will not want to miss it. Along Kenya's coast, ancient ocean migrations continue as they have for thousands of years. Yet inland, another rhythm has emerged, one shaped by growing cities, global trade, and modern innovation. While wildlife still defines much of Kenya's identity, the people who live alongside these landscapes have built some of the most vibrant cultures to grace our planet, and industries that connect this land to the wider world. At the center of many Kenyan meals is ugali, a simple but essential dish made from maize flour, cooked into a dense dough-like consistency. Served with vegetables, meat, or stew, it remains a staple across households and communities throughout the country. Among Kenya's most beloved culinary traditions is nyama choma, meaning roasted meat. Often prepared over open flames and shared among friends or family, the meal reflects the importance of community gatherings and celebration. Another common dish is sukuma wiki, made from sautéed collard greens. Its name loosely translates to "push the weak," reflecting its role as an affordable, nutritious food that helps sustain families through everyday life. Then, along the coast, Swahili biryani reveals centuries of cultural exchange through its rich blend of spices, rice, and meat. Influences from Arabia, Persia, and India have shaped this flavorful dish into a signature element of Kenya's rich coastal cuisine. A popular snack across towns and markets is mandazi, a lightly sweet-fried dough often enjoyed with tea. sold by street vendors and bakeries alike. It bridges everyday street food and home cooking traditions. Beyond the dinner table, though, agriculture remains a cornerstone of Kenya's economy. The fertile highlands provide ideal conditions for cultivating tea and coffee, two crops that have become globally recognized exports. Cool mountain air, volcanic soils, and steady rainfall combine to produce beans and leaves prized around the world. Vast plantations stretch across rolling hills, where generations of farmers have refined their techniques. At the same time, Kenya is rapidly becoming a center of technological innovation across Africa. The city of Nairobi has earned the nickname Silicon Savannah, reflecting a growing technology sector that includes startups, digital finance platforms, and global tech investment. Mobile banking systems such as M-Pesa have transformed everyday transactions, allowing millions of people here to access financial services directly from their phones. Yet despite these modern developments, wildlife still remains deeply connected to Kenya's national identity and economy. The country's wildlife tourism industry draws visitors from across the world, generating vital revenue that helps fund conservation programs and protected areas. In Kenya, ancient wilderness and modern life exist side by side. Cities expand, technology advances, and global trade continues to grow. Yet, beyond the highways and skylines, the same ecosystems that shaped human history still endure. In one place especially, the contrast between past and present becomes almost surreal. At the center of Kenya's modern transformation stands Nairobi, a fast-growing capital that has become the political, economic, and technological heart of East Africa. Skyscrapers, universities, markets, and innovation hubs fill the city, while highways and railways connect it to regions across the country. But this city, no matter how modern and human feeling, is still primal at its core. Just outside the capital lies Nairobi National Park, one of the only wildlife reserves in the world bordering a major city. Here lions, giraffes, zebras and rhinos roam open grasslands, while skyscrapers rise on the distant horizon. The site captures a unique reality of modern Kenya, where ancient ecosystems persist alongside the rapid growth of urban life, reminding us that the wild landscapes of the Rift still survive at the edge of a changing world. After all, this is Kenya. Enjoyed this wild documentary? Make sure you're subscribed and be sure to click this thumbnail on your screen right now to dive into what YouTube is positive you'll absolutely love to watch next. See you soon!